Hi everyone, welcome to Poetry and Talk. Poetry and Talk is a new online interviewing platform for poets to share their poetry, background, and inspiration. We're so grateful that you checked in with us today. We have a new guest poet to introduce you to. Please stay connected with us on our Facebook page, Poetry and Talk. We have several poet interviews uploaded, and we hope you've had a moment to check some of them out, and we hope that you're drawing some inspiration from them as well. Be on the lookout for new poet interviews. Please like and share. If you are a poet and you're interested in having an interview with us on Poetry and Talk, simply email us at poetryandtalk@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with scheduling and information. I'm Leslie Sue, the host for Poetry and Talk, and again, thank you so much for watching today. I'd like to welcome our guest poet, Danielle Martin. Hi, Danielle, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Let me say I'm thankful for this platform and this opportunity that you're giving me. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you, Danielle. We're so excited to get to know you and find out all about your poetry and your poetic journey. So we appreciate you being here with us. If you'd like to open for us and give us a brief introduction to a poem and then read that for us, please.
Well, my name is Danielle Martin, and I'm from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago to be exact. I'm also the author of an anthology of poems, which is called Kissing Shadows, Caribbean Love Poems, and it's available on Amazon. And I'm going to read you one poem from that anthology. Okay? It's called Holding Onto. Lost in dark brown eyes and superficial dreams, while holding onto the wind. Running from within, floating through the dark, grasping at teasing stars. Alone in a crowd, alone with many thoughts, as friends morph into strangers and strangers' friends. Sympathizing with nothing at all, after all, while holding onto the wind. I believe in many things, and perhaps nothing is worth belief. There's a truth that I still do not understand. It remains as intangible as the task at hand, like holding onto the wind.
Danielle, that's really beautiful. It's very deep, it's very complex. It also conjures up a lot of visuals, and it's some very penetrating observations. Can you speak to us about this poem? What is it all about?
Well, like I said before, this is a poem that's in the collection of Kissing Shadows. The book itself is divided into two parts. The first part deals with life, and the second part deals with love. So this particular poem is in the life section, right? So it's basically, sometimes we're in a moment and we're going through certain things, and just like observing people, like the whole thing, friends morphing into strangers, strangers becoming friends, is about change in life and our experiences.
And this change is kind of correlated with the wind, because the wind is changing. It's here, it's there, it's gone, and it can be in such variation. So that's kind of like your symbolism that you're incorporating into this particular poem.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, so speak to us a little bit more about your poetry and your poetic style. Do you like to use like metaphors, and particularly of nature, like how you use the wind in some of your other poems? Share with us some more, if you would, please.
All right, let me just start at the beginning. I've been writing poems from my first poem I wrote when I was 8, right? And I still have it tucked away somewhere. I remember it's called Whisper. I've always liked poetry. It's something that came naturally to me. In school, language and creative writing, those were my favorite subjects. And for me, poetry has been a way to express myself, my thoughts and my feelings. Even those feelings that you can't, you're not even sure what it is, So, other people would have diaries, notebooks and notebooks of poetry. poetry. That's how I express myself through the poems. I write based on experience, on observation, not only my experiences, but the experiences of others. So and most of the poems just, they come to me. I don't really sit down and say, I am going to write a poem on life or love. It's not as structured as that. It's more a mood. Sometimes I can't sleep and I'll be up and it will just flow.
So basically, Danielle, you get your prompts to write your poetry from just some type of, like you were saying, like you can't sleep, somehow it spontaneously comes to you. You don't have like a set structure.
No structure.
Okay, it's basically when the inspiration is there.
Yeah, exactly, precisely. Mm-hmm. And as much as it's inspiration, it's also inspired by self-emotion as well, like you're going through something as well. Instead of talking it out, I put it on pen and paper and put it like that.
Mm-hmm. So poetry is helping you to kind of understand things that you're going through, different thoughts, different emotions.
It's a release. Yes, it's a catharsis.
Mm-hmm. So through the process, you kind of open up to kind of understanding yourself better and what you're going through.
Exactly. It kind of puts everything together. Everything's a puzzle, and when I write it out and I look at it, it's like, oh, okay, that's where that's coming from. I understand it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really beautiful. I like that analogy of a puzzle. And then all of a sudden, like the pieces fit together by the end result of the poem, and through that process. That's really beautiful.
Some people are verbal. They could express themselves with their emotions verbally. Sometimes I might have a feeling, I'm like, okay, what is it exactly? But when I write it, it's like, that's it. I write as opposed to speaking.
Mm-hmm. Now, this process of words as opposed to speaking spoken words, was this like throughout your life? Because you mentioned you started poetry at 8.
Going back to my childhood, like how children, I didn't grow up with a lot of children, except for in school. At home, everybody was basically adults. So as a child, you didn't have that interaction on your level. So certain things you weren't able to express it as you would like. So I would be to myself, because everybody grown up, you can't really play and talk about everything with them. They're on a different level, they're heading out and you're there. So writing for me was really crucial in my development, emotional development, as a child.
Now, did you have any support system with your family, with your school, with friends? Was there anybody, encouraging you to kind of pursue this writing, this poetry?
Well, the thing for me, because I mentioned earlier that how people will have diaries, I had my poetry. So for me, for the longest time, poetry for me was something I did in private. It was something I kept to my heart, close to my chest. I had great friends in secondary school, even into adulthood, that didn't even know I wrote poems, And so like I said, I have notebooks filled with poetry. But about 2 or 3 years ago, a good friend of mine, she writes, she's an author. Out of the blue, just of curiosity, I sent some poems to her just to read. And she said, oh my goodness, why don't you publish this? It's really good. I said, really, you think so? And that is what led to Kissing Shadows being published, right? And even when it was published, because I held it so close to my chest, my poetry, my love of poetry, my writing of poetry, I didn't tell anyone. You write a book, you're supposed to promote it. I was like, okay, it's there. What do I do now? It was difficult being in the limelight, thinking of being out there. So it's only quite recently that I've started, promoting it, being on social media, and being somewhat comfortable now to say, yeah, I wrote that. Yeah, I'm a poet. Yes, I write. As to years gone by.
So thankfully for this friend, it kind of brought you out of poetry being very private, but near and dear to you, near and dear to your heart. But this friend kind of prompted you to say, hey, why don't you publish this? And you went along with it. And so it's kind of like bringing this out so that we all can appreciate it and know it.
Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
exactly.
I love the name Kissing Shadows. That's so beautiful. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about that idea, that whole concept? What is it that means to you? What are you conveying? What Just get into that a little bit richer, if you would, please.
Um, Kissing shadows. As individuals, as human beings, we all go through different experiences in life. It can be good experiences, bad experiences. We have experiences, and these experiences, we go through them, and sometimes we think we're fine, we're good, we've recovered, but no. This is to me. These experiences leave shadows behind. You know, vestiges of darkness within us. Even the good. Everything is for a time, everything is for a season. So all these experiences leave shadows within us. And sometimes in order to move forward, we have to confront them. But not confront them in a vile, aggressive way. But we have to deal with it softly sometimes. So that's the whole concept of kissing shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have to kiss the shadows in order to see the light.
Right. Yes, that's beautiful. I think it's fair to say, that most of us have gone through, some time in our life of darkness and whatnot. And some of the other guest poets that have had interviews on Poetry and Talk have also shared different experiences that they've had and how they've gotten through, some challenging situations, some, periods of darkness, and how poetry has really been instrumental in their healing process. So do you feel like an alignment with that as well?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Like I said before, sometimes we experience things and we can't describe it. We don't know how to feel, how to act out what we should do. So sometimes you have to take a step back, and with the writing poems, it helps you to get a clearer understanding of where you stand, of the waters that you're in.
Mm-hmm. I love that kind of stepping back, reflecting a little bit, and kind of getting the larger picture in view of what may be personally going on, or as with a friend or something, perhaps.
And like I said, the book, it's separated into two parts. Love, so that section, it deals with, romantic relationships, that aspect of love, that deepness. And the life deals with relationships on a whole, experiences, feelings, just standing up and emotion takes over you, observing somebody, observing people walking, it's all about that.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to talk about words for just a moment, because it's pretty evident in the beautiful poem that you read that you seem to have a real knack for words and pairing words and a structure with words that really conjure up a lot of emotions, as I mentioned earlier, and it's also very visual as well. So
Thank you.
when you're actually writing your poetry, what is the feeling that you get when you know that you have the right word or words or word sentence? What is that, like a feeling that you know? How do you come to terms with that, with finding the right word? Is it a process where you kind of have to narrow down a lot of words? Does the word come to you pretty easily? What are some kind of like tools in your tool belt that help you connect with the right words that you're trying to express? Or does it all flow out, or is it a combination of these things? I kind of like to get into that, if you would.
It's a combination. As I said before, I have no structure. That could either be good or bad. But for me, I have no structure. So a lot of times it's when inspiration hits. And when it hits, it's like a flood. It just comes and I run with it. And sometimes it'll be I run with it and it's perfect. I'm like, whoa, this is great. And then sometimes the inspiration comes and it's difficult. It's like churning mud. At those times, I just have to like take a pause and I come back. I was like, okay, I like how this sounds. This doesn't feel. It's all about, for me, it's more about feeling. This doesn't feel right. And then I might say it, sound it out, and like, okay, I don't like how this word is sounding with that. It's too, it's not real, it's not holistic, because I like my poems to be raw and honest and not convoluted. No offense to any, but this is just me. And most of my poems tend to be short. I I don't like long verse upon verse upon verse. I try to keep it crisp and to the point. I think I can say a few words and still get that emotion out.
Okay.
And probably have a short attention span too. I don't know.
Let me ask you, Danielle. It seems that many poets, that we're all kind of like leading to the same door. Like we all want to get to this same door, and the way that we get to this door is varied and different, based on our own experiences and the things that we go through, and a variety of factors. So do you feel like we're all like leading to this door, to open this door, and what do you think this door is about, that we're aiming to get to, like that sort of like the trajectory, so to speak? Do you look at it that way? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we're all different versions of ourselves. And what I mean by that, okay, in a crowded room, you see somebody, you look at that person and you're like, that could have been me 10 years ago. And then you see somebody else and it's like, that is how I want to be perhaps 20 years from now. So we're all, as much as we like to think, oh, I'm different, and we all are connected, we all have similar experiences, and we meet different versions of ourselves at different stages of life, right? So you may look different, but you're me at some point in my life, future or past. And sometimes we meet, or sometimes we just slide past each other. But the ultimate goal, I think, for creative individuals and poets, we observe life. We are observers, and we record the most whimsical of experiences of things to the most prolific. So we are also storytellers as well. And we show different perspectives. So we shine different lights on various topics and experiences and concepts. And we bring that to the audience. Mm-hmm. And I think that is our purpose and our point, and what we're here for. We're truth seekers.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So you basically, Danielle, you see yourself in others continuously, and you see that, you acknowledge it, and it's just a way of that you perceive your whole environment and the world. It's always like, that's me over there, that's me over there, that's me over there. And then you kind of like put that all together, and then one of your creative outlets is your poetry, where you express, a variety of different things that you're inspired.
Sometimes the difference in you from one person to the other is choice. That person made a particular choice and that led them down that path. I made a different choice for situations, environment. But we're all more connected than we think.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Talk to us about some areas of your poetry that we haven't discussed yet. What else would you like to share with us, Danielle?
As I mentioned, my book, Kissing Shadows Out, is on Amazon. It's a Kindle book. Hopefully next year, I want to bring out another poetry book, something different. I'm not sure how I'm going to make it different yet, but that's what I'm thinking, how to make it different. But hopefully next year I'm coming out with more poetry. What I want to say about my poems as well. My poems are definitely personal, yes. But one of the things that I like about poetry, you can leave a lot for the reader to interpret. So a lot is left for interpretation. And earlier when I said for me, instead of writing a diary, I would write my poems. What I liked about it is almost like as I said before, a puzzle. It wasn't as open. So somebody could read it and they could interpret it several ways. And that is, in a sense, as a poet, I find that's a fun thing. You write something and you just rock back and like, okay, let me get what this person thinks about it. I was like, okay, and they may have a different notion than your intent, And I always find that it's quite fascinating. I like that. You paint a picture, an abstract, and you just wait to hear the comments.
To go back for a moment to the poem that you read, where you incorporated the wind. I have a fascination with that element as well, and the other elements. But I'm just curious, Danielle, do you, in your poetry, also incorporate other elements, whether it's water or fire from time to time, or not?
Oh yeah, most of poetry, it incorporates wind, elements of nature. All of them do elements of nature. I'm fascinated by that, I guess. The earth, water, probably because I'm a Pisces, I like water, so I'm very intrigued by that. And as you said before, visualization. But as I said before, it's not like an intent when I start, it just happens. But most of my poems have that sort of linkage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I was just going to ask you, Danielle, so you were mentioning, just going back to 8 years old, that in school you always gravitated towards writing, creative writing, and poetry. So you were taught in school, some of the basics and whatnot of poetry. So you had that basis, you had that knowledge base, but your preferred style is unstructured.
Yes. I mean, I could read another poem that is kind of, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, please.
Okay. Because most of my poems are short. So it's called A Flutter from the Past. Whispering willows echo in my ear, a sort of nonsensical rhythm, a song with no beginning or end, like a random thought plucked from the depths, played over and over again. Haunted by what isn't, I become sadly aware of what is. Worlds that once touched are links apart, and faces hold bitter, sweet memories.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love how you use words. I love your flow, and I love the feeling that it comes through. And again, as I mentioned before, for me, it's very visual. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that poem, if you would, please?
Basically, it's about the past, because like in worlds that once touched are now links apart. In relationships with individuals, sometimes, that person could be your best friend, and things happen, life happens, and it changes, so nothing is ever really the same. Like you and could like see the person, and the memories roll like a film, and there's no attachment to that individual anymore. Life is as strange as that. Not that you have any ill will to the person, but the time has passed for that relationship or moment. So this poem is about reflecting on that, whispering willows echo in the air, the past memories, it's no longer there.
That's so beautiful. And you seem to have a real openness and acceptance with life. It's kind of like you just really kind of like, as they say, you go with the flow. That's kind of like the vibration that I'm getting with you. You kind of like, okay, this is what it is. And, you maybe come to terms with it and get to know it better and kind of organize it, within yourself, through your poetry.
I mean, there's only so much we have control over in life. There are a lot of things that happen, and you can't say it happened for good. You can't say it happened because you did this and you deserved this whatever bad thing to happen to you. Life is just life. It is good and it is bad. and it's constant change. So you just have to, when things happen, you just have to learn to deal with it as much as you can with the tools that you have at that time. That's another thing, something happened, anything, and you deal with it as best as you can with the knowledge you have at hand. And you might look back 2 years after the fact and wonder why I didn't do X and why I didn't do Y. And you cannot beat yourself up. You did the best that you can at that time. We are not, stationary beings and stuff. Life moves and we move. We grow, hopefully. We learn. Sometimes we have to learn a lesson more than once, thrice, four, but we learn eventually. And that is what life is about. Learning, morphing into who we are meant to be, who we can be. I think that's what it's all about. Constant learning, constant evolving. And when I say evolving, don't beat yourself up because you see somebody moving at a rapid pace towards, if it's their goal, a dream, or just being different. Some people move slower than others, but the main thing is you're moving.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing.
Mm-hmm. That's great words of wisdom and beautifully said and presented. Thank you. We have a few more minutes. Danielle, what closing comments would you like to leave us with? And also let us know how we can stay connected with you, please.
Closing comments. Oh, as cliche as it may sound, follow your dreams. Follow what's close to your heart. Constantly try to be true to who you are. Don't let other people dictate your pace. Stay, always be solid at your core, right? That's important. Know who you are. Get to know yourself. That's so important because if you don't know yourself, when the wind blows, you will go. In whichever direction it blows, you will go, right? So find your core, stretch out, let your roots, go deep into the ground, plant yourself. That's important. And like I said, be true to yourself. Follow your dreams, follow your heart. Yeah, that's it. And also try to be kind. Always go by the motto. These are my mottos. Well, I'll say it in my Trini vernacular, if you could understand it. Do so, don't like so. Which generally means that, treat people as you would want to be treated. That's what we say, do so, don't like so. Right? That's one. And I always believe, this is my mantra, this too shall pass. And it doesn't matter what circumstance, if it's happiness, if it's a sad day, this too shall pass. If you're experiencing joy, experience it in all its entirety, because you might be happy today. You don't know what tomorrow offers. Look at 2020. So it's like that. You think of somebody simple, just pick up the phone and call. Hey, simple. I thought about you. That's it. Because you never know. I have experience. I guess I've reached that stage in life because I have lost someone very close, right? And it's like one day they're here, and same day later on they're gone. So much needed to be said, so much needed to be achieved, and it's gone. You never know. That's it. I mean, I don't mean to sound melancholy, but it is what it is.
And Danielle, let us know how we can stay connected with you.
Oh, sure. You can check me on Twitter, Danielle M at Cosquelle Mind, which is COSQUELLE Mind, MIND. Or you can check me on Facebook. I have an author page. It's Danielle M. Right? And that's it.
Great. Thank you, Danielle, so much. We wish you a lot of success with your book. It's so beautiful. We'll be on the lookout for that. And
yes, Kissing Shadows, Caribbean Love Poems, available on Amazon.
yes, absolutely. We'll keep that in mind. And much success to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching today for Poetry and Talk. We're so grateful for your support. Again, you can stay connected with us on our Facebook page, Poetry and Talk. Please like and share. Check out our videos. And we'll talk soon on the next Poetry and Talk. Until then, be well and be blessed.